Well, Nadia, welcome. Thank you very much indeed for joining us today.
My pleasure, thank you.
Really appreciate it. Now, you're the chair of the APS
Yes.
Committee for Scientific Meetings. Tell us a little bit about that role.
Yes, well, the Committee on Scientific Meetings, or COSM, our role is to help set the policy and organization for all of the APS meetings, for units and March meeting and April meeting.
Sounds like quite a big role.
It is a big role because there's a lot of things that can go right and can go wrong at these meetings, and we just, our goal is to try to make the meetings better for everyone. That's the real goal of our committee. Yeah.
In this particular meeting, this particular March meeting is somewhat unique, really, isn't it, for all the March meetings that we've been to over the years. You've got both an in-person component to this and a virtual component.
Yes.
How important was that to you?
Incredibly important. I mean, this has been something that we've all been thinking about for the past few years. So last year we had a hybrid meeting. What we decided to do this year is to separate the in-person and virtual experiences to make sure that we could really optimize those experiences, particularly for everyone. So we'll have a really robust in-person experience, which is going to be very much like every other year, and then a really robust virtual meeting where all of the talks will be available to both virtual and in-person participants. So those will be recorded unless people opt out. And then on the virtual meeting, there will also be live talks where people can interact and engage in their virtual setting as well.
I think it's really interesting because I think if you look at the universe of these type of meetings, everyone's grappling with the same issue, which is virtual has been awesome in terms of being able to include a lot more people, but you need to sort of make sure that the experience works for people, which is obviously what you've been working on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are things that you get in person that are really hard to get online. Just having a coffee or a drink with someone, and that personal interaction is much easier in person, which is why I think people love this meeting. Bumping into each other in the hallway. I mean, that's what I do all day. I sit outside the meeting talks and I bump into people. So that's harder to do online. But we're trying to create components like networking modules that will allow people to get a little of that hallway feeling for the virtual. I should also say that, for many of us in the committee, we do think the virtual component is really, really important. This is for equity reasons, people who maybe can't afford to come to the meeting, can't get a visa to come to the meeting, who for sustainability reasons don't want to take that flight. We think that from now on there just has to be a virtual component, but we want to make that as strong as possible.
One of the things this is the 13th time I've come to the March meeting, and I'm from London, and one of the things that's always struck me about physics and about the March meeting is the global element of it. There's people here from all around the world engaging. How important is it to you that it is a global meeting?
Very, very important. APS is a global organization. The March meeting gathers physicists from around the world. So we care deeply about our global community as well as our national and local communities. The problem is that it's been really difficult for people from other countries. It's been becoming more difficult for people to come here. This is because sometimes it's hard to get visas. And also just for people from lower income countries, it's very, very expensive to travel to this meeting. The APS has started a graded registration scale where it's up to 89% less expensive for people from low income countries to register for all the meetings, both in person and online.
My final question is, how important do you think it is that scientists engage in amplifying the kind of voice of physics, if you like, into a wider debate?
Yeah. So I think that physicists already do the really hard work. Right? The really hard work is the teaching and the research and the service. This is for physicists in academia and in industry. It's hard work. So I think it's just one more little step to amplify that hard work. And that step can be doing something like going into a school or meeting with a congressperson or giving a public lecture. Now, that itself allows you to just take what you've done already and present it to a broader audience, just broaden the impact of the things that we're already doing. And I think that's really, really important because physics is important. It has an important role in society. And it's something that I think everyone would benefit from us amplifying what we do. So, there's lots of ways we can do this. Luckily the APS already has a lot of opportunities for engagement, for engaging with our units, for meeting Congress people, for training and communication. A lot of universities and industry also have these sort of trainings. So I think if every member took one little step, just did one thing they were interested in, learned how to give a really good public lecture, talk to a congressperson, did a podcast. You know, all of these things I think would go a long way toward just broadening the knowledge about physics, disseminating the great things that we do, helping society, and just bettering things overall.
That's great. Thank you ever so much.
My
It's been a
pleasure.
real pleasure to meet you, and I'm sure the meeting's going to go well, both physically and virtually. So
Absolutely. Thank you.